Welcome back to the less wealthy part of Tokyo, and today we'll be taking a look at the second generation Nissan Note, which is one of the most popular family cars in Japan, mostly because it's a very cheap small car, but it's incredibly spacious inside. So this car actually looks pretty good. It has nice aggressive styling, but I don't know if it's the missing hubcap or something, but something about this car just seems like a dad car. Even though I think it looks good, it just looks a bit practical and like a family car. I can't quite put my finger on it. So the driver's seat is in my personal driving position, and with that you can see the amount of legroom back here is amazing for such a small car. And the door opens very wide, so it's easy to get in and out of. What that means is you can easily get a family of 4 in here, 5 maybe at a pinch. There's plenty of room for like baby seats or whatever, and this is a very good family car. The trunk space in this car is actually very nice. It's bigger than a lot of the trunks in other cars in its class. My usual obligatory get in the trunk stuff. I get in here perfectly fine. There's plenty of space. This has a lower loading lip, which makes it easier to get goods in and out of. Of course, it could be a bit bigger because the seats slant, but you can get plenty of stuff in here with your kids in the front. And you can go to Costco, go on a family outing, and it's still a small car, so you can get around Tokyo a bit more easily. So the driver's seat. This is also a very airy, spacious cabin with lots of headroom, but strangely, there's this weird thing that juts out here that restricts your legroom on the left for some reason. Other than that, it doesn't feel like a small car in here. It's very spacious. And you know, overall the interior quality is, okay, it's not great. There's a lot of very hard plastics everywhere. It's very scratchy. It looks cheap. After Renault bought Nissan, that's the reality of buying a Nissan. Things look cheap. The buttons don't feel quality. The shift lever looks kind of like a Tonka toy. But, you know, it looks durable and hard wearing. It should last. Okay, now we're driving on the road in the Nissan Note. And from what I was saying earlier in the review, with it being very spacious, very affordable, it seems like a very ideal car to own. But there are some immediate problems with this car and why I don't rate it as highly as the Mazda 2. The Mazda 2 is not as good of a car, like, as a tool. This is much more spacious. You can get more people inside. This actually gets better fuel economy, but there's a lot of compromise in this car that I'm not really comfortable with. There's a lot of things that are a bit half-baked about it. So the first thing I want to mention is the very firm suspension of this car. This car is not sporty, but it rides very hard. I don't know why. It has the same sort of feel as the Mazda 2 at first. Oh, it's a nice sporty firm suspension, but once you go over some bumps, you feel them. And this is supposed to be like a practical family car, and yet you're feeling all the bumps, which is kind of strange. Because it has the stiff suspension and everything, you would expect, you know, good steering feel and everything, but look, we're going to take a 90-degree turn, and I need to basically turn the wheel 360 degrees in order to make it. This has the steering input of a boat. You know, there's some steering feel and everything, but every time you need to make an adjustment, it's a large movement, and I don't like it. Actually, as a family car, that's good, because you can make more precise adjustments because the steering is not as sensitive. However, we go back to the fact that this has a very stiff suspension and it feels like it has sporting pretensions. Well, why? If you're gonna have this boat steering, why not just go ahead and give it soft, comfy suspension and make this a solid family car? And look, we're just making a turn. This is a fairly flat road. We went over some minor bumps, and I already kind of rocking around. It's a bit ridiculous. In addition to that, this car has start-stop. So we're stopped at a red light right now, and the engine cuts off. And that's fine, it saves gas and everything, but the first thing you notice is the air conditioning stops working. It blows really cold air when the engine's running, and the second it's off, the air becomes hot. I haven't driven enough cars with stop-start to know if this is a consistent problem or if it's just a problem with this car, but it's very noticeable. So another problem with this car is the fact that it feels really slow. I usually say in Tokyo you don't need a lot of power because you don't. I mean, the road we're on right now caps out at 30 kilometers per hour. Even the main roads cap out at 50. This car will get you to those speeds, but it will do it at its own pace. Under the hood, we have a monster of an engine with 78 horsepower. 78 horsepower! This is so slow. But 40. Oh wait, this road goes up to 50. Oh wow, now we're at 50. So gentle hill defeats this engine. But that's not the problem with this car. I think 78 horsepower was actually enough to propel this car around Tokyo without too many problems. The real issue is the CVT transmission. So the CVT transmission in this car makes it feel a little dead. The car can't accelerate very quickly just because the transmission doesn't allow it. So everything feels very sluggish. There's a slight rubber band effect that's common in CVTs. And it also means that the throttle response is not there. So right now I can literally feather the throttle and nothing happens. Like there's not even engine revs or anything going on. It's just there's no throttle response. It's kind of weird. If you're driving normally through town like a dad would, then it's fine. This car, as much as I'm complaining about it right now, is not that bad. It's a good car. It's just, I wouldn't buy one over a Mazda 2. Even though it's more spacious inside, I just couldn't do that to myself. Driving around Tokyo is already a chore, and it's already stressful enough. If I'm doing it, I want to have fun while I'm doing it, and this car doesn't really deliver it because it's more of a tool. In conclusion, I actually think this is a good car. It's just not fun. It's just not special. If you're looking for a car that's practical, it's for your family, you don't really care about enjoying the drive because it is difficult to enjoy the drive in Tokyo sometimes. This is a good car. I can see why so many families have bought one. It's just not for me.